Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, oddly, if not interestingly, Chat Show. How are you? It's so nice of you to dial us in today, wherever you might be across this great world of ours. This is episode 110, they tell me. 110. We're 110 today. Very exciting.
We don't look a day over 80.
Wait for it. I'm most excited because I had the under on the 10-year over-under of killing bin Laden. I got just under the 10 years.
Yeah?
I can't tell
you
you
how
how much
under?
money I won.
I was going to make a joke since we're pre-taping this. I was going to say we're pre-taping April 30th, and I have a prediction that they're going to kill bin Laden in the next few days.
You ruined your bit.
But that's my bit. Gone. It's like we're roasting together and you went first. Now I can't do that bit.
Nothing like rehearsal.
Stop skipping rehearsal, Kevin.
This is why I need to come to rehearsal. Clearly. I don't know why I sit home with the booze and say no. I won't rehearse. Make tacos. So bin Laden's gone.
He's gone.
And
It's over.
Jamie was showing me the top 20 visuals or whatnots that people were putting up on the interwebs.
It was the top 50, and I have to give Lon credit for that.
Lon turned you on to that?
Yes, that was
Yeah,
pretty funny.
and my favorite one, I think, was, here's my birth certificate, bin Laden's dead, what the hell else do you need?
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
The death certificate.
What else can I do for you?
Trump wants to see the death certificate.
Yeah, right. And then crazy smiling, laughing Obama, and the caption reads, "See you in 2012, Republicans." Yeah. I thought that was interesting. I'm gonna...
Speaking of interesting.
Yeah. There's a... I should mention, very exciting news, this hour brought to you by Netflix.
Hey.
Yes, Netflix.
Love those people.
We offering this chat show, brought to you by Netflix. With Netflix, you can watch thousands of TV episodes and movies streamed to your PC, Mac, or TV instantly. Plus, get DVDs by mail in about one business day. For a free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/Kevin. I repeat, for a free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/Kevin. I love that Netflix has decided to sponsor the show, and I celebrate it, and I thank them for their sponsorship. Lovely people down there with the Netflix.
I second that notion.
I think those DVDs, when you get them in the mail, come from near my growing up hometown of San Jose, California.
Really?
Pretty sure it's near San Jose.
That's the ship center to Southern California?
It's what I've been told. It's what my researchers tell me.
Oh, there you go.
So, Sammy, you were at the Dodger Stadium yesterday. You watched your Cubs take a licking, did you?
I was at Dodger Stadium, and, man, let me tell you, if you were thinking about littering, don't do it there. I've never seen so many officers in one place outside of a donut shop. Nailed them!
Wow. Well written.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bruce Valanche. Now I owe him $75.
Yeah.
Holy
cow.
It's I haven't been back to Dodger Stadium since last season, and there are cops everywhere now because people are scared of
Because they beat up on a Giants fan.
They beat up on a Giants fan.
In the opening
and
game.
I'm there proudly sporting my Cubs gear.
Uh-huh.
And
no ass beating?
No, but a fan, another Cubs fan, actually said to me, "You aren't nervous wearing that here?" It's like, are you kidding? Mm-hmm. You cannot walk 10 feet without seeing a boy in blue.
That's what they like to be called. I didn't...
Should I just call them pigs? I'm sorry. I think you know how I feel.
I like the fuzz.
The fuzz.
The fuzz.
The boys in blue, now known as the fuzz.
Yeah, but it was a great, fun game. The stadium was about a third full, and half of that was Cubs fans. So way to go, Dodger fans. Nice to support your team.
That's what it always is here. Like, you know, whenever we go to Penguins games in Anaheim or when they play the Kings, it's mostly Penguins fans.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, the Ducks especially.
You know, maybe they're football fans.
I just realized Coppers may be my favorite.
Coppers.
Cheese it. It's the Feds I like, but Coppers. Hey, Coppers. Well, good to hear. And big, I guess this is pre-taped here on the second day of third day of May.
It's the third.
And happy Cinco de Mayo. You enjoyed yourselves this past Thursday. We, of course, are looking forward to it from the past here.
This isn't going to air till like the 27th.
We're actually throwing it up Sunday.
Are we throwing it up Sunday?
Yeah. Thomas Lennon took a powder.
I skipped rehearsal.
Yeah. There's no memos and
My
there's no
apologies.
rehearsal and no communication.
Zero.
Apparently, there's an email process which we should start using.
You know, it
They're
might
still
help.
sending things to my Hotmail.
I gotcha.
I haven't used that in 10
Hey,
years.
Hotmail. So, Amy,
Amy, yes.
Jamie.
Hi.
Jeez.
I'm Amy.
Jamie, I
Amy.
want to thank you for kicking ass at Cinco de Mayo. The party was fantastic.
Oh, you're over here telling me.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I can't believe how drunk I got.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about throwing up in your pool.
And also, stringing up Sammy as the third piñata of the night was a little weird, yet
It was my suggestion.
finally the right
Okay.
stuff came out of Sammy. And scene. All right, it's time now, ladies and Jews, for Ask Kevin.
Ask Kevin.
Look at that. Goddamn graphic.
Okay.
This one comes to us from @GaryMusicMiller. Easy. Wikipedia says Money Drop could be a board game soon. Will each have $1 million in it? Yes. Yes, it will. If you would like to ask a question of me or anyone working here at the chat show, simply write to contact@kevinpollockschatshow.com. And please, may I ask if your question could be slightly more intelligent than the last one?
The catch is it will cost $1,020,000.
That's what I was going to say.
The gift, the
Game.
game?
Will cost $1,020,000.
There you go.
And you guys,
And it has $1 million in it.
I see. And the game is only $1,000,020.
Right.
I like that. Yes, there will be $1 million in every game.
But you immediately get it back. See?
It's a refund.
Yeah. So
A
it's okay.
rebate, the car people call it. Very expensive.
But
though.
you got to make sure, like with the directions, you tape it to the inside of the box so you don't lose all that money.
Yeah. You can't buy another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. One per customer, please.
One per customer.
Yeah.
Really, the tax on that is where they get you, I think.
And it takes the piss out of 2 for one day.
It sure does.
And also the Larry King game. We had a winner last week. God bless. A T-shirt, Kevin Pollock's Chat Show T-shirt went out this week. I went through the possible selections for the viewers writing in the Larry King game. P.U. is all I can tell you. My agent's calling, trying to get me out of the show today. I tell them not to bother me, and they said, "What is this you're doing?" Yeah, they don't want to know about it. Now it's just worse. I left the phone up here because Dimitri Martin was on the show not too long ago, and he and our guest today co-starred in a motion picture called "I'll Take Manhattan." No, taking Woodstock, and no Muppets were in it. And so he was going to write me a question for today's guest. So I thought I would leave this, and then the agent calls saying, "I can get you out of it." As I said before, this chat show is being brought to you by Netflix. Netflix, you should know, delivers movies to your home in about 1 business day. Plus, you can instantly stream thousands of TV episodes and movies directly to your PC or Mac, or right to your TV through a Netflix-enabled device such as Xbox 360, PS3, or Nintendo Wii.
Or a variety of Blu-ray players.
Or a variety of DVD Blu-ray players.
There you go.
That's what we use at home. All without late fees or due dates. I've got a due date now.
But don't rent due date.
No. Whatever you do,
Don't
don't
rent
rent
due
due date. Oh my. Like watching a pony die. One of the movies available to watch instantly this week is The Twilight Zone, the original series. We love this.
My favorite.
How many seasons, Jamie? 5, right?
That's it.
Yeah, you can download, you can instantly watch the entire original series now on Netflix. That's crazy. This is
Ooh,
huge.
let's all name our favorite episode that people can check out.
Time enough at last.
Time enough at last. Wildly pedestrian choice, but thank you.
Excuse me.
Favorite
I have
episode
so
of The
many.
Twilight Zone, Dr. Chen?
Kicking game.
Kicking
Kicking
Cans.
Cans.
Strother Martin was in the movie sequel version, painfully.
I know I have so many.
Jamal, what do you got for me?
Monsters Are Due on Maple Street,
Monsters
maybe?
Are Due on Maple
But
Street.
I also like Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up?
Well, see, now I was
And
gonna
Howling
go-
Man.
Oh, you're taking all the good ones.
Oh, It to Serve Man. I like too many.
All right, I'm going with The Surf Man. You can't have all 5. And I will ask our guest today if he has a favorite episode, see if he knows it by name. This is a huge recommend, by the way, and you can watch it instantly from Netflix along with countless other TV shows and specials like the great stand-up comedy special called Dimitri Martin Person. For a free trial, I repeat, free trial, and to Netflix instant streaming of thousands of movies, TV episodes, and more, go to netflix.com/Kevin. Be sure to sign up with this URL, netflix.com/Kevin. Out there are producers on the outer walls of the studio here. If you could ask the fine folks in the studio next to us to turn it up just a little bit louder, that would work better for me because it just sounds like a little tiny thing in the background. I think it's confusing.
Yeah, I'd like
the
to be able to
viewers.
hear all the dialogue.
Yeah, if you could really hear it robustly, then it's funny.
Yeah.
Then it's, you know,
Great.
It's good for something. I am wildly excited about my guest today, and I will tell you why. Do you have a minute?
He just said, yeah, across in the other room. Said, you have a minute? They said, yeah.
That doesn't work well when I'm doing the buffering gag, if they can hear you talking in the background.
We're still doing the
They're
buffering
supposed
gag?
to think that it froze.
Are we
It's
still
great.
doing this? 110 shows in.
We weren't. I was.
My apologies.
We've had several guests on the show previously who were great inspirations for me in my my comedy upcomings, my upbringings and whatnots in the comedy world. And there was always this dream of going from being funny to being a so-called legitimate actor in the motion pictures. And there were a few inspirations for me that stood out and not only served as sort of an education and as well as inspiration, but also a proof positive that it was not only possible, but you could actually rise to the top of your field, your compatriots and whatnot. Starting out as a previous guest, Dave Thomas did, at university with Ivan Reitman and a few others, going on to do the Second City as well, and incredible film success beyond, well, we'll talk about it in just a moment. It lent that sort of view for the rest of us like myself who toil in the character actor business, that it actually gets better as one ripens, let's say, with age and prosperity, and continues to be an inspiration. And I'm exceptionally pleased and fortunate to have with us here today, Mr. Eugene Levy.
Just give him a minute.
Huh? Eugene. Hello,
Kevin.
welcome, sir.
It's I'm sorry. It's a
We went a little long before we.
No. It was, I think, the white noise coming from the other studio actually put me out because it does it every time. But I'm very, very excited. Very excited to be here on episode 110.
Yeah.
It's good to know there are 110 people who actually
Sat here.
were on before.
Only 109.
109 prior to you. Now, Dave Thomas.
Can I tell you, first of all, what a fan I am of yours?
You know, I wish you would.
And this is not a maudlin thing I'm doing, but
Okay.
this is. But you know, you are you did the ripest impressions, the greatest impressions. Your Peter Falk is nobody can touch it.
Thank you, sir.
And of course the oh God, the fantastic job you did in the movie with Tom Cruise
Few Good Men.
and Few Good Men, which was an amazing performance,
Oh, thanks.
heartfelt, layered, beautiful, very memorable. That's one movie that I honestly never ever get tired of watching.
It's one of those things when you're flipping around, if it comes on, you got to watch.
I watched till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. There's not a lot of movies that I can, say that about. That and Pretty Woman, maybe, but that's, yeah.
Yeah. Rob Reiner was here a couple of weeks ago on the show, and I was telling him that it's one of those movies that people come up to me forever. Well, first of all, thanks to TBS, it's on once a week, but people do come up, and it has this emotional connection for people, not just fun to watch as a movie. There's something about it. The picking of. I should turn the sound off, otherwise we're going to get interrupted. They tell me that every week, and I never remember.
I thought it was my phone, but I realized that's not my sound.
No.
Yeah.
Did you change the ringer to something from the disco era on the phone?
I just have like just a ring. I just kind of went a little wacky.
Huh? Oh yeah, Jamie,
have
you
a
have the
ring.
old-timey ring on your phone. Ring.
Yeah, that's my
the
ring.
Standard, that's the standard iPhone ring.
The standard iPhone.
That's just
Yeah.
a ring.
Yeah. Mine says Pods.
I wanted the original HBO
Well.
theme, but I couldn't figure out how to get it on there. I wanted it to be like da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I couldn't figure it out.
Now we have to pay $47 for that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, she's
Robin
doing
wasn't here to yell at
parody.
me.
It was parody. She's
That's
doing
right.
parody.
Yeah, but any theme, doesn't matter what you put, any theme is going to just, after the fourth time, it's just pretty much,
Annoying.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it gets down to a ring or a ding dong. Like a doorbell.
As
Anything
in
just
life.
a simple ding, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No. I want to hear a little about, but first of all, because I was saying Dave Thomas touched on this incredible group that gathered at university. I think it was Ivan Reitman and Dave and you and maybe Martin Short.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think Doug Henning was there too.
are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then Marty went on to do a pretty wacky, funny sketch on him later.
Yeah.
But Doug Henning really.
He was there, and we didn't know, he wasn't in our group. I didn't actually know him, but he was there at that time.
Right.
Yeah. And then Ivan Reitman later connected with Doug Henning and put him on Broadway in the Magic Show.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, created the show, opened it in Toronto under a different title, and they worked out the show there, and then they took it to Broadway, and that became the Magic Show.
Is it true the original title of the Magic Show was Doug Henning Stuff? That can't be
Doug
right.
Henning stuff?
Yeah, that can't be right.
I don't think that was the title, but
But-
good research on that.
That can't be right.
No, that's
How many times do we tell J Mac to have only one drink before he starts the research?
I know.
Doug Henning stuff. No, I don't think that was. I don't
A
think
fan
that
of
was
the
the name of
show,
it.
however, does want to know if you can complete this phone number for him from a popular Toronto pizza chain, 967
1111.
1111.
Sure.
What was the pizza chain? Do you remember the name of the joint?
Called Pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah.
And
You know,
from your
it's
youth all the way through, just forever, or just how recent is this?
Oh, it's been there for years.
An institution.
It's an institution. 967-1111. I mean, you just. Well, now they're going to be getting calls all the way from California, which
Yeah.
is not good. That's a long delivery.
Yeah. It's going to be cold.
But they're good, and they guarantee that you get your pizza in half an hour, or it's free.
Oh, they started that. Sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Quick question from me: Tim Horton or Earl's?
Oh, Tim Hortons.
Please, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And when Starbucks came to town, was it kind of a joke? Because everyone they loved the Tim Horton coffee there
Tim Hortons is still pretty strong up there.
in the Canada.
Yeah. Starbucks attracts a different crowd.
Hoity-toity?
now. Yeah. Educated.
Sure.
People
with
who like to go out and have a chit chat and have a coffee. Tim Hortons is still, you get these you can't get a Timbit anywhere else except Tim Hortons.
Timbit?
A Timbit. Tim Hortons was the donut chain that realized if you actually take that lump of dough that they punch out of the center of the donut, instead of just tossing it back in and making another donut,
Sure.
you can actually keep those little lumps and dip them and put a little sugar on them and call them Timbits, and you can sell them by the dozen too.
Timbits.
Yeah.
Many years later, the Americans ripped that off and called it donut holes. But the truth of the
Oh, I
matter
didn't
is,
know.
it's not a hole. It's the stuff inside that was the hole now.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's a bit.
It's a bit of the donut.
Dunkin' Donuts called it Munchkin.
Munchkin?
They were
Munchkins.
Munchkins.
I like Horton balls.
I like
But that's way.
Horton's balls.
That's not a line.
Horton's balls?
Yeah, that's not a line.
Well, I don't think that
Hard to
they
market.
missed that one.
Hard to market. It
They
really
missed,
is.
and nothing sounds more Canadian than Horton's balls.
I just had a sample of Horton's balls when I was had that layover in Toronto last month.
When you came back from the Paris, France?
That's right, sir.
Did you have the? Did you have the?
I
Tim
did, yeah. We
Hortons?
had a 6-hour layover at the Toronto airport. There's Tim Hortons. I was set.
Now, I know the way you like to save money, Sam, when you book your flights. I'm a little shocked the layover was only 6 hours instead of 18 hours.
It could have been. I had my choice of flights,
Yeah.
but there was only the one flight out of Toronto going to LA that day. So we played the waiting game.
We'll cut that out in editing.
Wow.
Eugene, another question comes in from Twitter. We like to
Yeah.
involve the audience at home. This one from @Trakeman. Does Eugene have any anecdotes about the Hamilton Mafia? We should say you were raised in the Hamilton, Ontario, perhaps born there as well?
Born in Hamilton, yes.
Born in Hamilton.
Sure.
Did you ever hear any stories about the Hamilton Mafia? from Hamilton, Ontario? Is this possible?
Are you referring to an actual mafia?
I don't know. This was a guest who seemingly knew you might know, thought you might know.
There were mafia figures in Hamilton. I remember because my dad talked about them and actually, did some hanging around.
Really?
Yeah, but just kind of, went on, runs to Detroit and things like that, just to, kind of keep them company.
Uh-huh. I pictured the Canadian mafia,
But there was and that little mafia, I think, was also connected to the mafia in Toronto and then Montreal. But it was, I think in its heyday, it was back in the maybe 20s and 30s. Like, I don't recall reading a lot about Hamilton mafia.
Right.
When I was growing up, but they were definitely there, years and years ago. But
Right. Well, listen, whatever you got for us, we're not looking for you to make up any stories. If your dad told you they did a couple of runs to Detroit, then
yeah. Well, listen, help is only a phone call away from me, so I just as long as you know that.
Right.
Okay.
Music came early first, perhaps. There was something about your brother had a band that.
No, my brother. My brother had a quartet.
I'll say.
In high school, and it was a fantastic quartet, and he played piano, but they also did they did barbershop as well, but mostly they did contemporary rock and roll stuff, and he was on piano, and he was in his senior year, and I was coming into my freshman year in high school, and so I would watch him at different concerts and things at the school up on stage, and getting great reaction from the crowd, and they sounded fantastic.
Did they do covers or originals?
Oh, no, covers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Performing at high school.
Oh, yeah.
Dances.
Just whatever, Earth Angel and whatever else was going on.
Sure.
Back then, but and they sounded great, and I said, wow, this is great. And one of the guys in my class in that freshman year, Chuck, his brother was in my brother's quartet. So I said to Chuck, we should start a quartet.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, why don't we start a quartet? So we did. We got found a couple of other guys, got a guy that had a lovely tenor voice, and a guy that we thought was, a good bass. And then we started singing, and that was my first foray into kind of performing, was with that quartet, and then we realized, well, the guy with the tenor voice, no, we kept the guy with the tenor voice. The bass, our bass player, turned out to be not a bit of a stiff, in a way. I mean, just couldn't really, had to just feed him everything, and just couldn't quite grasp it and stuff. So then the following year became a quartet, a trio.
A trio, yeah.
And then we got into more folk music, and then my friend Chuck would bring his ukulele out, and then we would just kind of do folk stuff, called the tritones.
Without a bass.
Yeah, just a trio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just a trio, like the Kingston trio.
I see.
They didn't have a bass.
You didn't play instruments, you were just singing.
Chuck was playing his ukulele.
Right. That's all you needed.
That's all we had. That's all we had. We didn't have a guitar.
Right.
He didn't play guitar.
And
I didn't play anything at that time. So we did that for the rest of the high school run. And
but there was no notion of being funny or any interest in being funny at that point? I mean, you were making your friends laugh,
no,
maybe.
Well, that didn't happen till maybe around my third year high school, and I would start writing. I would keep a little notebook of things that kind of made me laugh, little goofy things, and I would start writing down these I would title each thing and just write it down. I was just doing it on my own until somebody happened to, and I would do it at lunch hour, right? So it was just, this little book that I was working on had, if you go through the food-stained pages and look at the stuff, and I still have the book. And,
do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then somebody said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, no, it's nothing. I'm just writing stuff." So finally they got hold of it and read it, and they started laughing, and the next thing you know, they're taking it around to the tables in the cafeteria, and the next thing you know, I'm asked to write these little things for the school paper, and then the following year, people are saying you should run for president of the student council.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the country. I'm sorry.
No, not that. I wasn't ready.
Right. It would have been prime minister anyway.
It would have been prime minister,
Yeah.
but I wasn't ready. Even I knew I wasn't ready for federal politics
Right.
back then, because these were just goofy little things that I was writing.
Someone
you know?
just
It didn't really. It wasn't good prep for federal politics.
Sure, but even then, someone saw this in you. You weren't taking it around saying, "Hey, look what I can do." Sort of
No,
thing.
it was just for me. It was
Just
just for me. I would write these things, and I would actually get a weird kick. They were kind of reminiscent. Oddly enough, I was writing this stuff, and then there was a book that came out. John Lennon came out with his book, A Spaniard in the Works. It was a little kind of book in the early 60s.
Right.
And I read that little book, and his little stories were kind of like they were as offbeat as the stuff that I was, writing.
Offbeat short stories type.
Yeah, and just little poems and little whatever, like Ode to a Frenchman. Oui, oui, maintenant, c'est-elle, n'est-ce pas? Comme si, comme ça, hee hee, ha ha.
Right.
That's it. So that'd be one. That'd put by E. Levy after each one.
And what do you think inspired this? Was there anyone that you were sort of emulating at the time?
No, I don't know.
It just came out of a way to entertain yourself.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Because a lot of guys who do voices would be up in the attic or in their bedroom, in the mirror, or whatever, messing around on a tape recorder.
Yeah.
And for you,
Yeah,
it was
Marty
writing.
Short.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was Marty.
And who you met later in university. But for you, it
Yeah.
started out just writing down these little
Yeah,
ideas.
these little. That's all it was. These little little things, and then I got a kind of a reputation around the school.
You're writing for the
These
paper.
now I'm writing for the paper.
Yeah.
Put these little goofy things in between
Stories.
these other heavier poetry that these really smart seniors were writing.
Ah.
Usually about something dark or
The newly
depressing or
pretentious.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were those, and they wanted mine to break up these other things. So they it was kind of good. And then I ran for president based on. I'm thinking, well, this is great. Not that I can do anything
Right.
for the school, because I really wasn't inclined at all, for politics. But I thought, boy, the campaign could be great because I could create great posters.
Right.
Right, with these little goofy things. Like I would just put, just a big brown blob on the page with a couple of drips, and then I'd put The Mud Puddle by E. Levy. Vote Levy for president, right? So that was it. So I had these things all over.
Right.
And then I got elected.
Well, clearly.
Yeah.
You gave him no choice. You stood for nothing.
Which was a bit of a shock to everybody, because now I got the job.
And now what?
Now what? You
Yeah.
know? So that was I was the first order of business after I became president was I said, I think it's time to drop our foster child.
The whole school.
Yeah, because every time, it was,
Well, he
we've
was a
been
prick,
supporting
first of
this, I'm sure he was a nice enough guy, but every time, you get a picture sent every now and then of the kid, and every picture was sent, he was dressing nicer, he was doing, he was in better clothes and things like that, and I thought, well, I think he's doing okay. So I think the money could be used for something better, like putting sound speakers in the cafeteria.
Little music.
Yeah.
At lunch.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we did that. We didn't drop because I got voted down. The council completely
You were
voted me
vetoed?
down on that.
Yeah.
But we did put speakers in the cafeteria, and it lasted as long as the song by the Dave Clark Five came out. Called Glad All Over.
Glad all over.
Because I'm feeling glad all over. Yes, I'm glad all over. So all the kids in the cafeteria used to take the cutlery, and they would go, when it came to that part of the song, feeling, they would use the cutlery and bang it on the table, and all the forks got broken.
The teachers loved
the
this.
cutlery got thing, so that was it. They said no more, and they took the speakers. They didn't take the speakers out, but they said no more. So the speakers were down.
Right. Nice work,
for
Mr.
about a month.
Nice work,
So,
Mr. President.
My intentions were, I think, pretty good. But it cost a little money.
Right.
Well,
I like that your first order was supposed to be to lose the foster kid. I mean, you're making a stand. You stand for counterculture, first of all. You made that clear with your posters.
Well, to me, it's like a tough decision. Obama just made a tough decision, you know, and going into the thing. If you're a leader, there are times when you have to make those tough decisions.
You're not always running for popularity contests.
Yeah, and that is, you know, is this money well spent? I mean, this is, I think he's okay now.
He's
you know?
okay. He's got a cardigan sweater on.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's looking. I'm not dressing as well as the kids.
Do you remember where the kid was living at the time, his foster kid?
Nairobi.
Alrighty. I'm going to go to the phones. Yep, Nairobi.
Yeah.
It's
But
good.
anyway.
Wow. So now when you get to university,
Yeah.
where was this university? First you went to the Connecticut College? Is that
No,
correct?
sir.
No,
No,
incorrect.
not remotely close.
McMaster University. First I want to hear about Martin Brenzel. Brenzel?
Brenzel.
Brenzel.
Yeah.
One of the first mentors, one might say, in your
Well,
performing arts career?
McMaster University did not have a formal theater program.
Right.
You couldn't take a course in theater, and you couldn't take a course in film. That didn't exist. So
Right.
all that kind of work was all kind of extracurricular. You would join a club and do a play, but you couldn't get a credit in it. There was no course. But the drama club did hire a director of drama to come in, and this was and Martin Brenzel was a very kind of avant-garde director, very charismatic, and he started doing these great shows, and started training everybody. You had to come in for extended rehearsals and going through exercises and all kinds of things that we never had to do before. So this was really good, and we entered under these plays that Martin directed. We would and keep in mind a lot of it back then was 60s, and it was kind of a weird kind of theater. It was like a lot of crawling on stage,
Sure.
and forming human pyramids and.
Be a tree.
You know what I mean? It was just like forms and a lot of crawling, though. I still to this day don't quite get but that's what it was.
I sense you didn't care for the crawling so much.
You get home and you gotta wash the jeans. I mean, because the floor is
Filthy.
filthy.
Sure. Yeah,
Give us something to crawl in. But
Sure.
give us a smock or something. But anyway, we ended up going to the Yale Drama Festival, right? We'd enter this the Canadian University Drama League Festival, and we ended up coming in first.
Really?
And that gave us entry into the Yale Drama Festival. So we would go 3 years running. We went down to the Yale Drama Festival,
Showed them
and
how to
performed
crawl.
there. And the first year we weren't nothing. The second year was good for us and good for him. He got recognized. Martin got recognized by the adjudicator.
Nice.
I think it was John Lahr, the critic.
Let me check. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
John
Boy,
Lahr.
that is fast.
Yeah.
What are you on?
Super Speed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
John Lahr.
Yeah. So, long and short of it, Martin was really great, and then tragically, he died very young, because I think he would have been he would have made a mark for himself in the world of theater, but he drowned, I think, in the early 70s.
Now, aside from the annoying crawling, it sounds like there was a first sort of sense of actual theater for you in terms of pursuit and enjoyment and awakening.
Well, that was all good. All the stuff we did with Martin was good. Then there was a chunk of theater,
right,
where I would be doing things with Marty Short and Dave Thomas. And those were the productions where we actually had some fun,
Right.
and there wasn't a lot of crawling. In fact, there was no crawling. We did
a lot more funny.
over a couple of years. We did Marty and I did a production of The Odd Couple.
Did you?
Yeah, Dave played Murray the cop.
Uh-huh.
Marty, Dave, and I did Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Really?
Again,
Dave played Marty the cop.
Well, yeah, but he asked, and we said, all right, but you know what? This is the last time you can play Murray.
Murray, right.
Yeah. So I played Caliban, and Marty played Trinculo, and Dave played Murray.
Right.
And Stefano. And I remember there was a picture in the local paper, the Hamilton Spectator, that they reviewed the show, and there was a picture of the three of us, and the cut line under the picture was the comedy team of Caliban, Trinculo, and Stefano.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think we were getting laughs,
Despite.
not necessarily intended by Shakespeare, but for some reason it was working for us.
He was a bit
Yeah.
of an asshole anyways, wasn't he? When it comes right down to it.
Yeah, well,
Now,
Shakespeare.
Ivan Reitman is in this group as well. Your performance in Godspell was after university.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
But during university, you start making short films, Dave says. You guys were doing little stuff.
Yeah, well, I was doing theater, and also joined the film club,
Right.
which Ivan. Well, before Ivan took hold of it, I guess there was a lot of underground stuff going on.
Yes.
Films were kind of psychedelic. You know, guys would take a camera and just shoot a lot of flowers and fields and things, and put some kind of psychedelic music to it, and then that was the film, and that's what it was before Ivan took over the film board. And Ivan actually made this film board a kind of a profit-making organization. He organized all-night film festivals, horror film festivals. So people would go, pay a little money, and then la-di-da. Now there's money coming into the film board, and
Right.
money to pay for a new camera, and la-di-da. So I made, and Ivan was the only guy, I think he had taken a summer course at the National Film Board, that legitimate film school in Canada. So he knew something about a camera, and he was also really smart. And so he made an 18-minute, very commercial film called Orientation, about a kid going through orientation at university.
Right.
And he did this film, and then he was able, as a producer, to take this 18-minute, 16-millimeter movie, and for those out there who may not know much about film, but the movies you see in theaters are like 35 millimeters, 16 millimeters on a smaller screen. It's kind of like, watching a slideshow or something. Mm-hmm. And he went to the biggest distributor in Canada and got them to okay the fact that they're going to now play this movie as a short in movies across Canada.
Wow.
And he had to do a little reshooting, and he had to blow it up to 35 millimeter, and it played as an opening movie to a film called John and Mary in 1969. It was Dustin Hoffman's second movie after The Graduate. And we were thinking, I said, "What? This is unbelievable how Ivan could talk his way to the top distributor in the country, talk him into actually taking this student film."
What year at university at this point were you guys? Juniors?
This would be...
Not even seniors, though.
No, we were in our, second year?
Sophomore year, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so that was that, and so we made some movies. Now, I have the distinction of making the first talkie.
I'm sorry?
The first talkie at McMaster.
At McMaster.
Yeah.
I see.
I made the first movie with actual sound where people could talk.
Prior to that, they would not allow the students anywhere near the sound equipment.
Well, there was no sound cameras. They bought a sound camera the next year, and I was able to take the camera and make a sound movie. So you could actually write dialogue in your script instead of it just being a visual thing.
Right.
And Ivan left school, left McMaster at that point, went to Toronto to start his first feature, and I was still at McMaster doing movies and acting, but not really going to class.
Is this Columbus of Sex or Foxy Lady?
Columbus of Sex was done at McMaster while everybody was still at McMaster.
With sound?
No.
Columbus of Sex was not a talkie?
No, I don't think it was a talkie.
I'm not sure Columbus of Sex needs to be a talkie.
No, I think it's all in the title, really. Columbus of Sex was a kind of a soft, I would call it a soft core kind of, it was a lot of skin.
Made for university.
In that movie.
On university time and
yes,
dollars.
based on a book by Anonymous called My Secret Life, and they called it The Columbus of Sex. So they got all these kids, the actors, in the thing. And I was I worked with Ivan as his camera assistant. I was assistant cameraman on that thing. And I remember going to shoot a beach scene where there were 30 nude people doing some bizarre, religious ritual. On a beach, and as we're driving to the beach at Niagara-on-the-Lake in Ontario, that was the night that Neil Armstrong was landing on the moon, and we're listening to the landing on the radio as we're driving along the highway looking up at the moon, and I'm thinking, boy, this is really something. Neil Armstrong is landing on the moon.
That moon right up there.
Yeah, and yet I was more excited about the beach scene we were about to shoot.
Were you?
Yeah, I was young.
The 30 nude people?
I was young.
Sure you were. What do you care about
put
walking
things
on
together?
the moon?
Yeah, but that was still a Mac. Yeah.
Foxy Lady was something he shot after he left university.
Foxy Lady was his first feature film that he shot in Toronto.
Right.
And that was I was failing out of school kind of for the second year. I had a habit of actually starting to go to class in September, stopping in October.
A month.
Pretty much, and I would really just start hanging around the theater and the film board, but that was it, but not go to class. So by the end of the year, there's no way I could make my finals.
Yeah.
So I did that once, and then I said, okay, now I'm going to do it right. I'm going to go back and I'll do it right this time. Tough thing to tell a family. So I go back, and of course, same thing happens. October, stop going to class, doing more plays, doing more movies, doing my talkie. And so by the end of the second year, I knew I wasn't going to make it. Ivan had just was about to start shooting his first feature, and I called him to say, Ivan, I'm not going to make I have to get a job now. Is there anything on your movie? And he said, oh, if you'd have called me just a couple of days ago, I could have got you something in the props department. I could have got you something in set design or working. There's nothing available. There's no jobs. I go, oh, he said, well, it's a coffee boy. That's good. I said, I'll take that. He said, no, I can't give you that because it's not a real job and it doesn't pay. It's like $60 a week. I said, fine, I'll take it. He said, I can't give it to you. I wouldn't feel right giving you this job because it's not a real job. It's just something I'd give somebody off the street just to whatever. I said, Ivan, give me the job, please. So that was my job. I started on Foxy Lady as coffee boy.
Not a character in the movie.
Not a character in the movie, although he did give me a couple of walk-ons.
Did he?
Yeah. And on Foxy Lady, that's where I met Andrea Martin, who was one of the actors who came in to do a scene in that movie. And then when Ivan was about to do his second movie, he actually called to say, how would you like to be the star of my second movie? Because Ivan knew I did a lot of acting in university and did a lot of comedy in university. But there was nothing on Foxy Lady for me acting-wise, but his second movie, Cannibal Girls.
Cannibal Girls,
yeah,
where you played a coffee boy. Wait, that's not right.
Yeah.
Cannibal Girls.
Sure.
Yeah, that was his first film starring you.
Yeah, me and Andrea.
And Andrea.
Yeah.
And there was sort of an instant fun-to-be-had chemistry between the two of you.
Oh yeah, well she was a riot. Andrea was so funny, and we had but I had no idea really what acting was, like legitimate acting, movie acting. I had no idea what it was. I never, my thing was, they're putting us up in a motel for 4 weeks.
Hey,
that's something.
We're in show business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything else was salary is like deferred. So right. But we're in a motel.
We've got logic.
People are bringing me coffee now.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
And that's what I got a kick out of. But I never really put together what I'm doing in front of the camera is going to be on a giant screen one day.
No,
I wasn't. Andrea would be before every take. She'd be in a mirror doing her hair because we didn't have a hair and makeup person. We had to do our own hair and makeup. And I'd say to her, Andrea, what are you doing? You just did you came in at 10 o'clock and did your hair. What are you doing? What are you doing? She's like, no, I got to make sure I like. I said, oh, what are you, nuts?
Who cares?
Yeah, and I of course had a big, huge
Jufro.
head of hair. Yeah, a Jufro, and a big mustache and dark glasses, and that was, you know, that was.
You were a Muppet.
That was my leading man look.
You were a Muppet, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah, and. You know, I didn't have a clue really, but it was kind
But
of fun
you're still
working on it.
starring in a movie.
Still starring in a movie, which I might add, the Blu-ray version of Cannibal Girls just came out about 3 months ago.
And you can
If
all
you
go
can
to
believe that.
Amazon.com right now and get yourself a damn
Wow.
copy. Is what I'm saying.
I would say you check Netflix first.
Good call.
See maybe if they've got it.
See if, yeah, Cannibal Girls is playing it in the Netflix.
I said,
I bet you it is.
I said to Ivan, I can't believe you're going to the expense of making a Blu-ray version of Cannibal Girls. You know,
Well,
there's
you bet-
one station in Canada maybe runs it once a year, and you know, even then it's like.
But for the rest of us, oh,
He said, no, it's very big in the horror film world,
of course it is.
right?
What are we
Yeah.
talking about?
See.
It's Cannibal Girls.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, you know, the cut line on the poster was, "These girls eat men."
Yeah.
Those
Those are the ones. You did Godspell with Gilda and Andrea. Yes?
I did Godspell with Gilda and Andrea and Marty
Uh-huh.
and Victor Garber.
Victor
and
Garber.
Paul Schaefer.
Went on to be a huge Broadway star
Yeah.
and television star in the motion
Yeah.
pictures. Paul Schaefer.
Yeah.
We all
Was
know-
our musical director.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a good company.
That was an amazing company.
That was an amazing company.
And
Yeah.
do you feel that you learned more in that experience than watching Andrea do her own makeup on the movie set?
What did I learn on that? I guess I.
Or did you learn?
It was well. That was well. Here's the great thing about about that was that you're actually getting a check every week.
Right.
You know,
Felt like legitimate theater.
it felt like you've actually got a legitimate job now.
Right.
Yeah, you're in a theater. You're at the Royal Alex, the biggest theater in Toronto. You're opening this you know, great show. The cast was amazing, and we all became very good friends, and those friendships have lasted, you know,
All
over
of
the
your
years,
lives, yeah.
all of our lives, and those were probably the most fun days, I guess, when you look back, because it was our first job
Right.
for all of us, really. You know, it was very, very exciting. It was very exciting, you know,
Oh, I would
doing
think
that show every night.
that giant theater,
And, you know, there was a little unprofessionalism going on stage that with a couple of people that I won't mention, Marty and Andrea.
Uh-huh.
But
Little tomfoolery.
yeah, they would, you know, and you know, after dinner, you know, second show on a Saturday night, you know, you'd start the show by the cast would come out and kind of form this little huddle and do their and then there'd be a little voiceover from Victor, who was playing Jesus in the show. And but when you kind of look up in the circle, you see Andrea's got a big roll in her mouth from dinner downstairs, just holding it in her mouth, and you know
That's helpful.
that you know. Yeah, great show. And
Was there a sense then that, all right, I'm going to do this now for my life, for my career? I'm going to be an actor in show business.
yeah, I think at that point, I knew that that you know, acting could be, you're actually making money doing it, because up till that point, I mean, even though we did, you know, Cannibal Girls, we didn't actually make money on it. You know.
No, you were at a hotel.
We were at a hotel, you know, making the money will come in when when the movie starts making money.
Maybe now when the Blu-ray comes out, you're going to see a piece.
I might see a check.
Yeah. Now, your
but-
folks come to the theater there in Toronto, and this has got to be a moment in time for the family.
Well, it was pretty big. Yeah, the opening of Godspell was pretty big because they had a lot of protesters outside the theater.
I'll say. What?
Protesters. They were protesting the show, that it was anti-religious, that it was making fun of religion. So they had these picketers that were outside on opening night. Excuse me. And so we did the show, and the families were there, and I think it was a big night for my family, certainly for my parents, because my parents were pretty good about me quitting school and not getting a degree and then going into acting, but they thought it was a temporary kind of thing, like temporary insanity.
Yeah.
It's okay for it's okay for a hobby, but what are you actually going to do for a living?
It's a phase.
It's
He's
a
going
phase.
through a phase.
But this was a big opening, big theater, and I think they
legitimate.
realized that this is kind of legitimate.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then after the show, the director came down and said, with all these protesters outside, what would be really great is if the entire cast, if you all take a flower and go out, because it's 1972, so it was still a flower power thing.
Put it at the end of their
take a
rifle.
flower and walk out and just talk to the protesters, and the entire cast went out, except me and Marty.
You and Marty hung back.
Now we said, no, I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
Talk to those
They're
people.
animals.
Do what? Let's get to the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Victor Garber, meanwhile, is out there dancing
Victor
around.
did go out.
Sure. He's prancing around the flower like an idiot.
Yeah, he went out with his flower and talked to the people. No, we're not making fun.
All right.
This is no, whatever.
You and Marty went straight to the party.
Well, we kind of hung around for a little bit. We didn't actually just go without anybody, but since the party was at our apartment,
I see what you're saying. You went home and
we
smoked
could
a
have gone
joint.
home.
Why don't we just call it what it is, sir? Now, what year would we say this Godspell production was? 72, you said. And so between 72 and when the Second City begins in the 76, so says the dossier, are there auditions going on? What's happening?
Well, Godspell...
Because now you're pursuing acting as a
Godspell,
true...
72, 73. 1973, auditioned for the Second City Theater.
Right.
Which was opening in Toronto.
Right.
And
a live theater.
got into the Second City Theater. And that was also pretty amazing. That was also a huge turning point for me comedically, because it was a pretty amazing kind of comedy. I actually didn't get in right away. The initial auditions, they picked another guy that I knew over me because he was a bit more demonstrative, and I wasn't. So I think they felt safer going with this guy. So I went back to Godspell, took over the lead.
Wow.
Which is a story in itself. So I'm now playing Jesus, but I'm the first guy with actually dark hair that looks Jewish.
Finally, a real Jesus.
That's playing
A true Jesus.
Playing Jesus, because the Godspell Jesuses were more like Ronald McDonald clowns.
I'm sorry?
They had that look.
Really?
Yeah, that red hair and that kind of this.
Giant big red fro.
Yeah, but I was like actually dark and actually looked like I had a
Jewy.
little desert blood in me.
Yeah.
So that was that. So I ended up doing the last 2 months in Godspell, playing the lead, and then there was an opening in Second City, so I got right into the Second City.
Now, the
Theater.
Second City is a lot of improvisation, which, of course, is not represented in your work in Godspell. I can't imagine it was a
Well, Godspell, though, a lot of that play was created through kind of improvisations. The telling of the parables in Godspell was created through improvisation. Every company was able to create their own parable.
Nice.
Right?
So
So
then
you could do it whatever you want. So I was, I would, I'd be up there doing Sullivan,
How do you mean?
and I mean Ed Sullivan, for those who, have no idea who I'm talking about. Well, there once was a man who had 2 sons. They're all right here on our stage. And one day, the man says to his son, so that's what you could do, impressions, you could do all that kind of stuff.
Marty didn't like that at all.
In the show, Marty did his Burton. He did...
Oh, my God.
Oh my! Who did he do? I can't. Gilda did one ringy dingy,
Right.
from Laughing.
Sure. Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin.
Was Marty doing Katharine Hepburn yet at that point? Probably not.
No, I think he did Burton. I don't think he did Hepburn. I don't think he did Liz Taylor. I don't think he did Betty Davis. I don't think that. I don't know why, but it wasn't. I can't remember him doing those impressions in the show. He did a few.
So you felt like improvising on stage was something that you were comfortable doing already from your.
Well, I had done, Cannibal Girls was mostly improvised.
Was it? See, now I would have thought completely scripted if.
No. Yeah.
Like down from high atop the script.
Well,
came.
they had a great idea. They went to Harold Town, but he said, don't think so.
Right.
No, so that was it. But what we thought was improvisation.
Right.
And this is improvisation without any formal training. So what we thought was kind of decent improvisation, once we got into Second City, realized, whoa, now the great directors they had there, Del Close and well, he was the main director back then, and so he'd come out and whip everybody into shape. And doing that show in a little cabaret setting was also so amazingly exciting. And the kind of humor, playing the great lessons you learned from Second City. Always play at the top of your intelligence level. Never talk down to your audience. Never think you're smarter than your audience. Never. These are great lessons that have been there over the years that you can always go back and just go, okay, right.
Yeah.
Do whatever you do, but play it smart. I mean, just try and play it smart. Don't.
And you love actually through the dossier I noticed playing dumb criminals, and even then. There's a certain level of intelligence in terms of the commitment.
Oh, I think most of the characters I did, certainly on SCTV, where you could call them dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't the sharpest pencils in the thing, but I got a kick out of playing those characters. But you also want to, now where the intelligence comes in, is you play the character. Don't play it stupid.
Right.
But play a dumb guy and make him real.
Yeah.
Just make him real. Give him a heart. Give him a brain.
He doesn't know he's dumb.
He doesn't know he's dumb.
Right.
And so most of my characters fell into that category. They actually thought they were, doing a good job.
Sure.
They all had the side where they thought they were like okay, and they all had a kind of a confidence, but give them something to figure out, and they're not going to be at the front of the line, leading the group.
The confident idiot makes me laugh almost harder than any other kind of comedic foil, who's overly confident and an idiot at the same time.
Oh, those are just the greatest things to do. And John Candy and I also kind of share. John played those characters great too. Mm-hmm. Those characters that weren't the bright lights, but he just he dove into those characters with gusto.
They didn't lack from confidence.
No.
Yeah.
No. He and so we ended up doing a lot of like stuff together, kind of, whether it's.
You did.
And that was the great fun of doing that show as we developed as writers, because when we started SCTV, we were coming right out of the theater, so we had no idea what writing was. We would start writing. We would all get together and start doing improv games just to warm up, and then kind of like get an idea for a scene and try to improvise it as a group until we realized you can't do this on a weekly basis.
Right.
It's way too slow.
Yeah.
So we eventually learned to split up into groups and just start writing. Yeah, talking and writing at the same time. And
was that the first writing that you had done in a sort of focused, with intent manner since those early days in high school when you were scribbling down these ideas and poems and thoughts and musings?
Yeah, probably, because I don't recall doing a lot of.
So how did you take
writing.
to it, coming back to it after that many years?
Well, it was a learning thing for me, and some people took to it a little quicker. I mean, I wrote stuff in the first year that it wasn't. it wasn't bad stuff. It was kind of labored a little bit, you know, so things went on a little long. It was a couple of years anyway before I realized you gotta, you know, what's the funny thing about the piece, you know?
Right.
I mean, instead of just trying to make things funny, what is inherently the funny thing about the piece? What's the funny thing about the personality of the piece you're writing? And that just came with time. But it was it was a tough one for me because there were, you know, Catherine O'Hara, Joe Flaherty, these were, and Dave Thomas. The people did great impressions.
Yeah.
And I didn't do impressions, any impressions back then.
Right.
So, you know, when it came to doing, you know, Richard Burton or Peter O'Toole or Katharine Hepburn or all these, you know, these period pieces that they loved doing and writing and performing, I couldn't really, you know, I had nothing to do. The very first piece that they did where they had these great impressions, Joe does an amazing Peter O'Toole.
Is that right?
Just an amazing Peter O'Toole. It was so great. And John was doing Richard Burton, and Dave was doing Richard Harris.
Sure. Amazing.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Richard Harris.
Yeah.
And Catherine O'Hara was doing Kate Hepburn, and they wrote me into the piece. But I can't. What can I do? I can't do a dialect. I can't.
Couldn't even bring a little Peter Lorre?
They wrote me in as a silent character,
Nice.
as the tailor, and my credit was in Victor Spinetti as the tailor. And all they really wanted me to do was just kind of use my eyebrows, kind of sewing in the background and doing eyebrow takes, and that was my foray into the great classics.
There's a lot to be said for that, by the way.
For
Being the glue of the sketch the way you were.
well, I like to think of myself as the glue in that sketch, but I think other people might have looked at it as a very expendable piece of footage.
I see what you're saying. This question comes from the Twitter as well, from @RealMrBoone. I thought this was quite interesting as a question. What influence did filming SCTV at a small TV station in the middle of Edmonton give to the show when it first began?
Well, we first started the show in Toronto. And we did the show for 3 years in Toronto, and then the show ran into some financial problems, and they said, "Well, we're not going to do the show anymore."
This is
And
the
we said,
TV
"Oh,
show.
this is the TV show." So we said, "Oh, okay," because they had a financing problem. So I moved to Los Angeles.
Of course.
With my wife, I said, "Well, maybe this is the opportunity."
You have bigger fish to fry.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, instead of being a big fish in a small pond, let's go
to the big pond where no one will care that we hear.
Small fish in an ocean.
Yeah.
So we moved. Then we hear, "Ooh, the show's going to start up again," and they're starting up in Edmonton.
Oh boy.
And I'm thinking, "Ooh, well." And I get a call saying, "Yeah, we're starting up again. Do you want to come back and do the show?" And I'm saying, "Wow, you know, it was hard enough working in a small studio in Toronto where production was not that great, and it really wasn't our first few years, you know, because they just, I guess, didn't have the budget, didn't have the experienced people." And I'm thinking, well, what is it going to be like in Edmonton working in a studio that's even smaller than the one we're working in? I said, "You know what, I don't think I want to come back and do that. It's going to be too sad."
A few of the others moved to LA by this time, Catherine or Marty?
Yeah, well, they you see, that was 19. I don't know who actually had moved there yet. Marty may have been down. I think Marty may have been down. I don't think Catherine was down. I don't think Dave was down at that point. So they started the show in Edmonton without, I believe, John, without Catherine, and without me. And then I get a call saying, "Well, do you want to come up and do a guest spot on one of the shows, you know, after they started shooting?" And I said, "Okay, I'll come up and do a guest spot. I think that'll be fun."
Right.
And then I got up there and I started to see I looked at the footage of the stuff that they'd been shooting, and it was remarkable. It was remarkable. The production was amazing. The sets were amazing. The lighting was great. It was like, I couldn't believe it.
More money, smaller studio.
I said, "Whoa." Oh, and better directed, and it was everything about it was it looked great. I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm back. work me in.
Right.
I'll stay for another 3 weeks, you know, because it was near the end of the schedule. So I said, well, just, you know, I'll write me in, shoot me in, and then cut it up throughout the season, and you know. But I'm back. This is amazing production. So to answer the question, the thing about Edmonton,
great news was,
but Edmonton was a small town, and there was nothing to do. So when and the days were long enough as it was, but when you had nothing to do, what we would do is go to other people's hotel rooms or go to their apartment. We would just hang out with each other because there wasn't much to do in town.
Right.
And we got together, and once we got together, it just started kicking around ideas. So we'd write, and you know, so you'd end up just writing and coming up with stuff. And the years in Edmonton.
How many years? Another 3?
It was 3 years in Edmonton, I think.
Right.
Yeah, 79, 80, 81, 82, yeah, 80, up to 83. Up to 82 in Edmonton. So it was like three years, I believe, in Edmonton. And so the best work we ever did, I think, came in those 3 years. Because it was nothing but focus.
Right.
24/7.
I'm going to have to bring up Earl Cannonbale, Floyd the Barber, Bobby Bittman. The Bobby Bittman went on to there was a TV special. Was it later became, he was singled out in some sort of, I thought I saw somewhere in the dossier that there was something after the show that you came, am I wrong?
No, I'm just watching you, kind of just trying to get to the point.
Autobiographies: The Enigma of Bobby
That's
Bittman.
it.
It was your TV directing debut, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
We've gotten
okay.
to it. Yeah.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Took an hour 16, but we're there.
I'm now behind the camera again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Enigma of Bob. Well, Bobby Bittman was a character. We did some fun characters. All the stuff we did on the show was really good, but Bobby Bittman was a particular favorite character of mine because he was just a kind of a prick. He was just a nasty guy and a very unfunny comedian. Mm-hmm. But not a pleasant human being to begin with. So it's like there's not, you know, it's all downside, not a lot of upside.
There's the word bitter comes to mind.
It's hard to believe the character was as popular as it was, but it was fun to do for that reason. So we did a lot of great characters. That character, when the show was finished, we did I wrote a special. For I think it was Cinemax, and called The Enigma of Bobby Bittman, and it was just a kind of a biography of that character, and it was kind of a fun. It really was a fun show, a lot of content, and in order to shoot it in the budget, I think we shot it in like 4 days.
Something you wrote yourself or with somebody else?
No, I wrote it myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the first time you had written a long-form thing just for you?
No, I wrote a year before that a show for me and John that we did on HBO called The Last Polka.
The Schmengi Brothers.
The Schmengi Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an hour.
So I thought you wrote that with him, but you actually wrote the
Well, I wrote with John. John and I did write the show, you know, together. And John and I would get together, and you know, he would, you know, it's hard to pin John down for big periods of time, kind of, you know, about a thing. But we'd kind of brainstorm some stuff, and
Work
say
out some
good,
bits.
okay,
Yeah.
and then I go and write it.
right.
But we did. We were credited with working on that together, and in truth, John's creative input into any scene we were doing was. It's hard to imagine kind of doing the scene without the input that John had, you know, and it's true. It was hard to sit him down at a table and say, "Okay, John, get out your pad and let's let's go through this and, you know, let's work on the thing. Absolutely, yes. All right, let's go. Let's go. All right, open on. Now, what do you want to do? Hang on one second. I got to get a coffee. Do you want a coffee? All right, I'm just going to get a coffee, and then he'd be gone for like 2.5 hours because he chit-chats with everybody in the, you know, down the hall.
Right.
So
now I see why there was a sense that you sort of wrote.
Well, actually, putting pen to paper, most of it I have to say I did myself.
Sure.
But the ideas and you know,
Pieces of business. Yeah.
Pieces of business. But Bittman, yeah, I worked on my own, and it turned out pretty good for a half hour. And it's true, it was my first directing job, and I said, well, this is kind of interesting. This is good because at this point, you know, directing could be more interesting than acting. You know, there was a thing about acting that I was never quite got. It was a lot of hanging around and waiting and thing and
Mostly waiting.
Mostly waiting.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, this could be interesting. At least the day will go faster, and you know, so I started focusing on directing after that. But that was a fun experience doing that in Toronto.
You love the directing.
I did love directing. I directed a few things.
Oh yes.
After that.
Oh yes, you did.
Well, I mean, but the point is, after about 4 or 5 whatever projects, I then kind of realized I was doing spending a lot of time talking to crew people about things that I had no interest at all in, like, you know, filters. What filter do you want on this thing? Well, what filter? What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go for the X7. The X7. All right, well, that's pretty good. And then I look over and I see, you know, the cast just sitting in a corner, just laughing, you know, and drinks. And I'm thinking, geez, why am I not over there?
Because you got all these answers.
Because I've, you know,
Yeah.
and I realized, okay, you know what, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, let's go back on the other side of the camera.
You missed it. You missed the playfulness.
Yeah.
All right. This one comes to us. Thank you, Jamie, from the live audience that are watching, that have tuned in. Well, they're going to watch on Sunday, but they're technically hanging out in the chat room. And this is another thing we do on the show. It's a form of 5 rapid-fire questions. We call it Tweet 5.
T5, T5, T5 forever now.
These will be this or that, Coke or Pepsi type questions. No correct answer, just this or that kind of questions. But they're put together specifically for you. Ready? Tweet 5.
The pressure is too much.
Neat guys or Schmengi brothers?
Oh! Oh! Wow!
It's a Sophie's choice.
I can't! Oh! Schmengies.
Okay, nice. Don McLean or Madonna?
Wow. I may have to say Madonna.
Alrighty. Doug or Bob?
I would.
You see what I'm saying?
To be honest, I can't remember who's who.
That, my friend, is the correct answer. Harold Weir or Floyd Robertson?
Harold? Who?
Harold Weir or Floyd Robertson?
Floyd Robertson.
That's correct also. Max Yasgur or Max Baer Jr.?
Max Yasgur.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a good one. 5 Neat Guys are the Schmengies. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
that
not
tore
easy.
my heart.
I know you like the golf. I know you like to stay in shape. Have you tried the Bowflex tread climber?
No, but I am getting a little hungry, so I'll...
All right. Let me tell you how you can earn that appetite and that fine meal you may be looking forward to. This is one of the sponsors on the show, and they've made this machine. It's part treadmill, part elliptical, and part Stairmaster.
What are you
in
telling
one.
me for?
I'm telling you because I think you could use it. That's all I'm saying. Maybe it could help you.
Okay.
With your...
And what do? You get
golf.
on it and what?
You get on the machine.
Is there sweating involved?
You walk a little bit. There's some sweating. The tread climber info kit.
I don't like stuff
No,
that
not
sweats.
so much? All right.
Well, you know.
For
I like
those of
sweat.
you...
Kevin, tell me more.
Moist.
For those of you that are looking forward to sweating and feeling moist, call 1-800-436-6063. Request online, walkwithkevin.com. You see what they did? They made a specialized URL, and then you can just get the info kit. You go right to it.
Yeah.
Walkwithkevin.com.
Wow.
Also, the third film made by the Native American nation, walkwithkevin.com.
Do we get a free one, guests?
Yes. Well, if you like sweating, you'd get one. We'd bring one to your home. But you said you don't like to be moist. It's a shame. It's a lovely machine.
Wow.
Thank you, Bowflex.
Wow.
Now, I want to ask, from Twitter, actually, at Mark Critch asked, will you direct again? Now, you said you drifted over. You saw the cast having fun. You directed several projects. Once Upon a Crime comes to mind with John Candy, Sybil Shepherd, and Sean Young.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Now, these are a couple of ladies who need a little attention. So as a director...
Yeah, I was a little well, you know, it was kind of, back then, it was right, there was a lot of stuff going on with Sean Young, you know.
A little bit.
Weird, a little bit thing. So I was a little nervous. And yet, she was incredible to work with.
A professional.
True professional.
Right.
And did such a great job, and I, you know, and same with Sybil Shepherd.
Sybil came bolting out of her trailer, ready to go.
I would, I always thought, well, you know, she's been around, she's done so much, she's just, you know, I don't have to go up and, you know, so I would, she was hooked up with, teamed in the movie with Jim Belushi. And so after a scene, you know, we do a scene. I go up to Jim and say, "Jim, that was great. It was funny. It was good. I love the, you know, just really just more of the same. It's just great." So this would go on. Finally, Sybil came up to me and she said, "Why don't you give me any notes?"
Oh wow.
I said, "There's nothing. You're not doing anything that."
Right.
But you tell Jim when he does a good job. You don't come up and tell me when I do a good job.
Because he's all over the place. He needs help.
I said, I didn't think you wanted to hear you. I didn't think you needed to hear that. I didn't think you'd believe me anyway if I, you know.
Did you learn a little lesson there that the actress?
Well, there's insecurity at the at the highest levels, I guess. You know, at that point she was a major star.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, this is it. Everybody needs.
That's funny that you felt like, what does she need to hear from me? She's already made it a lovely career. Why should I get in her face about it?
Well, yeah, you're doing a fabulous job, Sybil. Really, just a wonderful. I love the way you did that.
Thinking she would say,
scene.
"Who is
thinking,
this
thinking, who is it? What? And you've directed how many films?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't. I just kind of.
As it turns out,
you know, I'd say good or anything, but I wouldn't go on.
As it turns out, she needs a little love.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. She needed that, a nice word.
You're hanging out with John Candy. You're having fun with Richard Lewis, also in the movie.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, well, the girls will be fine. What do they need from me?
They don't need anything from me. Well, you know, I thought I was ahead of the game. But
you mentioned Catherine O'Hara briefly. At Winstead Chase asked, what do you enjoy most about doing comedy scenes with Catherine O'Hara? She is a national treasure, if you ask me. You've now done several of the movies with Chris Guest. And the two of you were paired up there. How much fun? I mean, I've worked with her a little bit and found her to be just insanely enjoyable, but I would love your take on it.
Well, she's just so sweet, number one. She is the, you know, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. She's the sorry Canadian. She is, as a person, she is just...
a true delight.
A true delight. As a talent, it's amazing how talented she
It's at every fingertip. It's just...
her character work is and always has been, and I mean, going back to our show, almost back to the very first season. If you go back, you look at everything she did. It was priceless. It was, you know, just great character work.
Yeah.
And Andrea as well. Andrea was very strong comedically. I mean, I go back. I mean, it's hard for me to watch the first couple of seasons on the show for me because I hadn't really found my.
Well, you were horrible.
I was Well, I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was horrible.
All right.
But you know, I was the
Struggling?
next best thing.
You were struggling. a
I
little?
didn't think I was that. I did some stuff great, but the other stuff But every single thing that Catherine
Right out of the
did, you
chute.
could say, man, this is just
Yeah.
solid, and it's been that way, you know, through the years. She is. It's frightening how her impressions are amazing. Her character work is amazing. She's just a great actress.
Yeah, yeah. And there seems to be an energy about her that's a little unpredictable, which is always fun when she's creating a character.
Yeah. Well, there is an unpredictability.
Yeah.
She's so in the moment, and it makes it fun. And you got to be, you have to be on your toes.
Was she part of the stage Second City troupe
Yeah.
that you were doing? So before the films.
Well, Catherine got into. We were in the Second City company. When Catherine came into the company, Catherine replaced Gilda Radner.
Okay.
In the company of Second City.
Yeah, Dave was telling us that Lorne came through and plucked some people and took them to the
Yeah.
SNL.
Well, I remember we'd gone down to Chicago, the Toronto company. The companies had switched. Chicago went up to Toronto, and Toronto went down to Chicago. So we were in Chicago. John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, myself, Gilda, and I think another female member of from Canada that was in the company. And then Gilda left to do National Lampoon, and Catherine stepped in to take her place, and that was that was 74, summer of 74.
Right.
And then in September, I was leaving and then the next year we went down to open a company in Pasadena.
Right.
I was leaving to go back to Toronto, and I remember Dan Aykroyd was coming down to take my place in the Pasadena company, and I had a going-away party in my apartment across the street from the theater, and I remember Dan on the phone with Lorne Michaels at that party saying, and I remember distinctly, almost word for word, what he was saying. And he was saying, "Well, Lorne, I've got to know what you're doing there. I've got to know whether I'm in, whether I'm not, because I've given my word to Bernie Solins here at Second City that I'm going to go into the Second City company, and I'm not going to go back on my word. So I mean, you have to let me know at some point what's going on." And of course, maybe a day or two after that, he'd got the word, "Okay, come to New York."
Right.
But those were the. Doesn't seem like it's that long ago,
I know.
really, when you think about it.
It's a bit absurd that it's been 37 years.
Yeah.
Truly absurd.
Well, the absurd thing is we can throw numbers around like that now,
Yeah.
Well, I can. You're still a kid.
No.
You're still young.
Don't be silly, sir.
You've aged so gracefully.
Well, it's not important. Star on the Walk of Fame, several Canadian Comedy Awards, the Emmy Awards. Hello, there's Grammy Awards, sir. There's at least one Grammy Award on your shelf. Tell us about that, because I thought that was pretty fun when the dossier was being put together.
Well, it's about this big.
Sure,
and
sure.
It kind of looks like a
Phonograph.
horn.
An old,
Yeah.
And you wanted, of course.
You want more?
Wanted a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah. What room is it in?
No. Well, that was one of the great fun experiences for me. All the films I did with Chris Guest have been pretty amazing, experiences in the writing side of it, writing with Chris, and then actually getting together with this very talented, extremely talented group of people who do this kind of work really, really well.
Oh boy, yeah.
And it's not as easy. The great thing about this group of people, is that, you know, you kind of have to know when to be funny and when not to be funny. You kind of have to just know to play the moment and not necessarily just, you know, play the laugh all the time. One of the things you learn in Second City is kind of keeping the scene going, which is which is an amazing. It's good training for, obviously, for, you know, for this kind of work. And most of the people that we use came out of Second City,
right.
and some did not come out of Second City, like Parker Posey, who was just an actress, but who, you know, had a meeting with Chris, and he liked, you know, her for this role, like, you know, her.
She just took to it also.
Yeah, and then she came in and just did, you know, she wasn't trying to be funny. She just did her stuff, and it kind of came out.
Michael Hitchcock and her
great.
were terrific together.
In Best in Show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Another great improviser.
He's from the Groundlings, I think.
Yes.
I think that's his improv background.
Yeah, from the Groundlings.
Yeah.
Funny writer, but he really kind of came.
I was surprised, and I think people will be also, how your and Christopher Guest's association and working on these films sort of began. I thought, well, they had known each other for a while, obviously, and they had kicked around the idea of doing these kind of films together, and I completely made this story up. In my mind, I realized when I was going through, and I was reading what you were telling, the first story where you just got this phone call. He's saying, well, I'm thinking about doing this thing, and I think I want to write it with you, and picked you up at the airport and driving into town, and you're thinking, I'm going to this guy's cabin in upstate New York. I don't even know him. This is weird. Is that?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I didn't know Chris. I'd only met him a few times, and I knew who he was.
Sure.
I knew, going back to you know, the National Lampoon. Lemmings and the radio show and the albums, and I was
You were a fan, needless to say.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe what the kind of stuff that Chris was doing, the kind of character work. Great voices, great voice. And I had a pastrami for lunch at Arts.
Paying the price, are you?
Yeah. And, that's.
That's a damn good pastrami sandwich, though.
And I'm not. If I keep saying "excuse me," I'm going to start sounding like Donald Trump.
Can we get you?
I don't want that to happen.
Can we get you a Rolade? So you knew of his work. Of course, you were a fan, but you hadn't met.
Yeah,
much.
no, I hadn't met him, and I met him a couple of times, and it was kind of an odd thing, and it wasn't. You know, it was hard to get to know him because he wasn't like a very talkative kind of person, and you never got a. I always got a sense maybe he's he's looking at me kind of funny, and maybe he probably doesn't like me or something. You know, the vibe was kind of strange, and then I get a phone call from Chris when I was at home in Toronto.
Literally out of the blue.
Out of the blue, saying, "Hi, this is Christopher Guest, and you know, I'm working on a movie, and I'm wondering if you want to write it with me." And I'm thinking, you know,
I don't know this guy. We'd never worked together.
That's true. No, my heart was kind of thumping a little bit, thinking, you know, this is an odd. There's 100 people he knows. Probably it has to. Why me? And so I'm thinking, why me? Why is he think? And he said, you know, we'll go up, and I've got a little cabin, and we'll spend a week or 10 days and trying to hammer out a story. You know, what do you think? And I'm thinking, wow. This could be, I don't know, you know, but you know, what's the worst that can happen? I go up there and it's just not working out. So I'd say, okay, you know what, it's not working out. Maybe I'll just go home. And it was a good idea.
Maybe he wants to bring you up there to kill you.
I didn't really go that far, but you know, I'm thinking it's going to be strange. Needless to say, and do I need to bring a weapon?
I'll get when I get over the border.
So anyway, I go there. I say, okay, well, and that's it. And then from the time he actually met me at the airport, and it's true. By the time we're in the car going back to the place, he's already got me laughing.
Right.
And I had got him laughing maybe a couple of times. And it's just kind of funny. We get in, we settle in, and it's just kind of, and we're laughing. I'm doing a lot of laughing, and he seems just open and just lovely person.
Yeah.
And we start down and start working. We start talking about ideas in the living room, and then and we spent a couple of hours going over ideas. And he had the pad, and then we take a break, and I go over and just to look at the pad, and there was a couple of scribble things, and I'm going, what? So I said, okay, you know what? I'll take the pad. From that point on, and that's and I always had the pad, but it was an amazing relationship that developed, and it wasn't until years later that I actually asked him,
Why the hell did you?
"Why did you call me? Why did you call me?"
Right.
When,
How many
when
people
you were
said
starting
no
waiting
before
for
you called
Guffman?
me? Yeah.
You know, I said, who couldn't do it?
Right.
How many people couldn't do it before you got to me? And he said, no. He said, no, I was a big fan of the TV show,
Right.
SCTV, your show, and I thought your work on the show was pretty incredible, and I just thought the sensibility was right. And I said, oh, that's not bad.
That's a level of intuitiveness that's almost remarkable, because what you guys end up creating together becomes stuff of legend.
Well,
I mean, I will tell you, in the comedy world, when Waiting for Guffman comes out, there's a sense of, oh, well, it's this now. The films will be this now. The comedy stuff that I want to do is this.
Yeah.
It became a huge thing. I mean, you've seen current icons such as Ricky Gervais, who just fawn over Guffman in such a way that he ends up doing one of them with you guys. Was it for consideration?
For your consideration.
For your consideration, right.
Yeah.
And, he's a genius in his own right, but clearly was inspired beyond belief. And I'm telling you, there were a lot of us when Waiting for Guffman hit that was a sense of, oh, good, now we can do this now. And technically no one really has to the level of success. It really did seem like a new wave was being started. And a lot has been made of how much is improvised. But I got a sense that you and Chris actually broke stories to the point where, everyone was kind of told this is what needs to happen in the scene.
Yeah, well, every scene, it was a screenplay without dialogue, kind of. Every scene was laid out in terms of exposition, what information had to come out.
Right.
If we came up with jokes, like lines that we thought were funny, we would write them in.
And repeat them.
And then we'd give them to the character to, say, whatever, this is a, good joke. We didn't force anybody to do anything.
Right.
But if it was a great line, we'd put it in. But the thing is, it was I think the sensibility that Chris and I absolutely share, and it's not that far afield from the sensibility we had on SCTV, is that everything has to be grounded in a truth. Everything has to be grounded in a reality, and the comedy has to come out of a real place. We're not the Zucker brothers. We're not. Which is a legitimate. Listen, Airplane was one of the funniest movies. I mean.
Pound for pound, beat for beat, tough to argue.
Just joke for joke for joke for joke. It was amazing. But that's not what we do. We want the comedy to come through the characters, but the characters have to be real people. If the audience doesn't have if there's no emotional involvement with the characters on screen, then you're once you take one joke outside the reality of the story, you've lost the audience. You're done.
I couldn't agree more.
We really tried to keep everything as legitimately straight and tried to be as funny as we could, obviously, but you want the characters to be absolutely real, and that sensibility we had through all our movies, and eventually tried to explore how far we could take the dramatic aspects of a scene in a comedy, how far you can move the drama until we hit our last movie, For Your Consideration, and there was, A Mighty Wind was a case in point where the storyline, as it turns out, we're coming up with a piece of story, character piece, and we're going, okay, well, these two characters, these two folk singers, Mitch and Mickey, they're the sweethearts of the folk world, and what if their first hit record was where they kiss at the end of the song, and then they became the sweethearts of the folk music scene. And then they haven't seen each other in 40 years. Well, when they come back for the reunion,
Will they
I
kiss?
wonder if they're going to kiss. Well, that's a good thing. And then we realized, and we kept hovering around this little character thing, going,
Right.
wait a minute, this is really a kind of a big thing here.
Yeah.
But we're doing comedy.
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
Yeah.
Are they going to kiss? Is that a funny ending to the piece?
You're right.
All right, yeah. I don't know. Well, let's come back to it. And we kept coming back to it, going, wait a minute, this is a strong storyline. What if it doesn't work? I mean, what if you get to that point in the film and the audience doesn't, even before the kiss, they don't really care. They're not.
Right.
We've lost the audience. Then we're really.
Then you got
we're
nothing.
Really sunk. Then we got nothing.
Yeah.
So we weren't afraid to kind of go take those avenues that where we felt compelled to kind of do that kind of thing. So,
And
but that's just
When you're improvising, though, in the scenes early on, say, Waiting for Guffman, is there, I've now worked, I know you have to work with directors. Some directors like to be done with 5 or 6 takes. Some of them like to put you through 30 takes. And there's a sense of play with the improvising as opposed to reciting the same words the same way. I mean, after take 3, I just hear myself acting. If I'm in a non-improvising situation. So then, given the freedoms to improvise each take, to do it slightly different or a lot different, I imagine before you know it, somebody says, "We've kind of done 25 takes here. Should we move on?" I mean, was there a sense of play most of the time?
Well, we never did more than 3 takes.
Oh, so that was it for you?
Yeah, never did more than 3 takes.
Okay.
I mean, Chris was pretty good about just doing a thing. If you
Well, you got to move it along at some point.
you do the scene, and again, the incredible thing is that you're doing it for the first time on camera.
Yeah.
The very first day on Guffman, I remember my first scene. I think we were shooting in Lockhart, Texas, and I flew down there, and I got down there, I guess, day 2, Chris, or day 3 or something, and Chris was shooting his just scenes by himself in the day that I got there, and I'm shooting the next day. So we end up. My first scene is the last scene in the movie, and so I get on the set and I say to Chris, well, I said, where do you want to work this out? He said, what do you mean? Well, where do you want to? I mean, do you want to talk it through, or do you want to like rehearse it? Because I didn't know there was no rehearsal at that
Right.
point. We'd
Sure,
never
you just got
discussed
the
what's
set.
yeah. And he said, well, no, we're not. The camera's right there. We're going to be doing it on camera. And I said, well, you mean we're not going? We don't talk it through before we wait?
Like you do in every other
do it
movie?
in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So that's when I learned there's no rehearsal at all. You just get on the set and then you kind of start the scene,
And there's a sense of shooting the rehearsal, like we're just jumping in.
Usually the wider stuff is done first, so what they call the master shot. So whoever's doing the master, you kind of do the scene, and everybody's hearing what everybody else is doing for the first time.
Right.
And that's kind of exciting because you don't really know necessarily where what information has to come out, but you don't know how we're going to get there.
Right.
And then and then you yell cut, and then Chris would go over and if there was anything in the information that was coming out that wasn't necessary, he'd say, well, you know what, lose this little thing here. We don't need that. Everything else is good. I like what you're doing here, and
Right.
that's good. You want to do it again?
Oh God,
So then we
it's
do it
so
again.
great. It really is so great. It's such a
And then you do it, and then by the time you get to the closer to the coverage,
Yeah.
right, you know that if stuff's really working, you do want to use it. So then it becomes like a regular film where this
wanna
is
repeat that
working good,
piece, yeah.
but you're not necessarily tied to it.
right.
You
That's
can still
the joy.
you can still kind of you can still do whatever you want,
Right.
In a way, because it is a documentary, and the great thing about this kind of work, improvisational work, and the documentary is it seems to be although For Your Consideration was not a documentary, and that was a little tougher to do.
Right.
But for this kind of improvisational work, a documentary format is the best. Obviously, the best form because you have a myriad of editing options. You can jump cut. You can because it's a documentary, so you can take the funny stuff from here and put it together with the funny stuff from here. It's not like a theatrical scene, a narrative.
Narrative, yeah.
Was there a point? Was I talking about something?
No, that was beautiful. No, you were sharing the experience of what it was like to improvise in these scenes, and
it was truly just great fun doing that kind of thing. And now the odd thing is when you watch now everybody's using that format.
Sure.
Where you don't even need to use it. There's television shows. Modern Family, or The Office. I mean, was The Office, but.
As initially, conceived by Ricky Gervais and
yeah, and I think Ricky was influenced by the.
He said it openly.
Yeah, by that documentary format, and he did it so brilliantly. And now we have shows like whatever that are on that use that format in not a great way because it's not. Why does it have to be a documentary? Just show the family doing their thing.
Yeah.
Why do you have to talk to camera as if you're being filmed by somebody?
Yeah, there's this strange element, and the truth is, it does. I think they do it because as a writer, and I've done it on a web series we did. There's a sense that if there are these cameras capturing things that allegedly really happened, then as you say, it allows you this freedom. But the difference was for me, I always told the actors, don't do that thing where you look to the camera and when somebody says something, that annoys me just a little bit, where it just becomes that, or the people are acting in the scene and someone just...
Yeah, well...
How about stay in the scene and let's bring it home?
Okay, that's the thing.
Yeah. Does that annoy you too?
Well, it's like stepping. It's almost that.
You're breaking the fourth wall.
You're breaking the fourth wall,
Yeah.
and you're kind of stepping over the line. So it's like, well, if he's not into it, then what? If he's not into the scene, then why should I be into the scene?
I mean, it's funny the first little time when I saw someone do it in the British office, just once, and now it seems to be almost throwing the other character under the bus, to forgive an annoyingly popular term.
Yeah. Well, now that form is been done to death. So it's been tough to come up with something that is different because we don't want to do the same. We don't want to do the cookie cutter thing where now we're doing another documentary, but just we're changing the subject.
Yeah. And for a whole generation, they see the great creators of Waiting for Guffman doing one now, and they say, "Oh, you're kind of doing that thing that's on The Office."
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Now the form is done. So what's the big deal about
they did a movie that's like Parks and Recreation.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, you influenced too well, is what I'm saying. You see what you've done.
Well, I can't help myself sometimes.
I think it's time for you to enjoy another Tweet 5, mister. This one comes from this is a name I could never possibly get, Wavad's Dick for...
T5,
this or that, here we go. Tweet 5. Canadian bacon, real bacon. What do they mean by real bacon? That doesn't seem fair. Canadian bacon's real.
Canadian Bacon was a movie.
The correct continues, starring your friend John Candy.
Yes.
I wasn't bad in it. Martin Mull.
Oh,
it's not important.
Right.
It's not important. Martin Mull, Martin Short. You got to go Canadian.
Love both Martins.
Come on. Left hands, left feet. You see what they did?
Left feet.
Correct. Maple syrup, maple leaf.
Maple leaf.
Moyle, dentist.
Got to go with the Moyle.
Sure you do.
Yeah.
How else are we going to get there?
Sure.
Nicely done. I do want to ask also, you've got
I feel like I'm talking to Sam Snead.
Do you?
I don't know why.
Sam Snead, the golfer?
Yeah.
Because of the hat?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Is it the chapeau? Let's talk about the working for that prick Ron Howard. You did the Splash movie. This son of a bitch, where does he get off? literally the nicest man in show business. And
Yeah.
then Tom Hanks is in the movie, and now you've got the other nicest man in show business.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this even as a Canadian, where it's nationwide nice. Tell me.
Well, Ron was back then. It was like. It was like having Opie directing the movie because he was.
You got Opie, and then you got Richie Cunningham.
But this was only his second movie, and he was very excited. He was kind of very. His enthusiasm was
Bubbly.
right there, bubbly, and he, he would. He'd be on the set, kind of saying, "Gee, I don't know." Don talking to his director of photography. Gee, I don't know, Don. I'm thinking for this hallway scene, maybe if we put the camera on top of the flat, kind of just kind of looking. No, I don't know. Is that a dumb idea? No, I don't think it's a dumb idea. I think really, to put the camera just to get a high angle, on the door. No, I think it's a good idea. Really? Oh, good. Because I think that'd be a great shot. Well, then let's. And that was his energy.
Right. By the way, that didn't dissipate over time. I worked with him many, many years later. Same thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard stories since that he is the guy who's wildly enthusiastic, and it's all genuine.
Yeah.
He just has a natural passion for what he's doing.
No, he's just he's one of the sweet guys.
Yeah. Hanks, on the other hand, turns out to be the devil. So the sweetest, the nicest, the most. Oh.
Yeah, he listen, Tom is the same guy now that he was when I worked with him 30, whatever it was, 82, 83. Just a really, really sweet guy. Again, fun movie. John was in that, and I don't know. It was just it was like a real movie.
Yeah. Big time show.
It was like
Giant
it was
studio picture.
the first real movie, that I did. I did a picture called Running in 1979 that
Your
I thought was
dramatic film debut, according to the dossier. This is a piece of drama, not so
this
funny.
was this was not. No, this was a dramatic film. Michael Douglas, running, and we thought, oh, this is fantastic. He's coming right off the China syndrome. This is going to be this is going to be like huge.
Well, that aside, as a dramatic film debut, I mean, this is a huge moment for someone who's mostly been doing comedy.
But when I went into audition for that movie, I auditioned for the part, and then the people in the room, casting people, the agents and whatever, were, they were. Then I'd hear some laughing as I'm doing the scene.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and then and I'm thinking, well, that's not good because there's something this is not supposed to be funny. The scene, I don't think.
Right.
So I said, well, thank you very much. That's it. And then I'm walking out, and then the girl's running after me. She taps me on the shoulder. She's going, oh, that was terrific. And I'm saying, I said, I don't know whether you're going to want laughs in the thing. No. But you're bringing the characters. What you're doing to the characters. You got a funny aspect to your character. La-di-da. So. I got hired for the movie, but it was a very scary thing for me because it was really my first major thing. I had no idea again what I was doing because my last film was Cannibal Girls.
Needless.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was a tough. That was a tough one for me because it was, I had to fly to New York on location, and I'm meeting Michael Douglas. He takes me to lunch, He said, "Come on, let's have lunch, and we're going to be shooting that afternoon." And he takes me to this fish place, and it's, and I'm so nervous. My stomach is churning.
Right.
Because number one, it's Michael Douglas, and I got to be cool. So yeah, how are you? Good. No. It's wonderful. New York is just fabulous, and my heart is just like a rabbit. And he's saying, try the grouper with the lobster sauce. It's wonderful. It's great. It's great. You're going to love it. Oh, good. Okay, good. Now I got this plate of slop right in front of me that smells so fishy, and he's talking. So where are you from? What's it like in Toronto? Well, and he's chowing down. He's just chowing down, and I've got a piece thing on my. No, it's good. Well, Toronto's it's fun there. It's fun. So now we finished lunch, and I haven't touched a thing, and I'm conscious of because I'm not paying for it. He's paying for it.
Right.
And he says, well, you didn't touch a thing. I said, oh, well, you know, this is so, I can't tell you how fantastic this is. It's just great. But, you know, I just ate before I arrived on the set. So, but you know what? I should get this to take it to go. Yeah, take it to go. That's good. Yeah. So it's just I put it in the bag, and then the first trash can. There it was. But that was kind of a scary thing, and then we get on the set, and I'm thinking, okay. Now they say, well, let's rehearse the scenes, and now we're on a street in New York, and I'm thinking, well, rehearse the scene. Does that mean like you go full out? Do you rehearse? Do you go full out on this rehearsal? Is it what are rehearsals like on a film set? I don't know. Do you just do the lines? Do you just do the thing? So I went full out.
Sure.
Yeah.
You gave it all.
Yeah, I gave it my all.
100%.
And I think then Michael Douglas turned to me and said, "Boy, you're really into this." And then I thought, okay, I went the wrong way.
I want to dial it down.
Went the wrong way. I got to dial it down after this. So that's learning the hard way. But yeah, but Splash was a big one. That was and it was fun, and it was like a real Hollywood movie.
And a monumental success that sort of launched everybody along their way, and yeah, a great moment in time.
Yeah, well, it certainly didn't hurt Tom.
No, or Daryl.
Or Daryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Ron.
Or John.
Let's talk about American Pie, mister. Somebody's got a reunion. See what I did there? There was a little bit of a thing. I made it a...
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right to
You're
a nice,
marrying two things.
Yeah, a
you
little
know,
bit.
it's like past and present. It's like
It's what I'm trying.
it's like a Christmas carol in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the ghost of Christmas past and present.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
American Pie.
Yeah. My understanding is when your agent first brings you the first script for American Pie, you read it, and the sense was, I'm not sure this is for me. I'm sure there's a lot of lovemaking to pies.
Yeah.
And
No, it wasn't good.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I read the you know, the script, and it's just reading a little raunchy.
Seems a
You
little
know, for me.
sophomoric.
Well, I'm just you know, I mean, you know, on page 3, you got a guy, you know, kind of masturbating, you know, in the you know, we walk in and my kid's, you know, masturbating in a sock with a porn movie playing, and then there's a thing. A couple of pages later, there's somebody else, you know, doing some oral sex with a manual, and then somebody's, you know, ejaculating into a beer, and somebody's drinking it, and I'm going, okay, you know what? This is not. It's not.
Maybe they
it's
hadn't-
not for me.
Yeah.
And my manager just kept saying, "Well, take a meeting, just take a meeting, because it's good. You're the only adult in the movie. This can't be a bad thing." I said, "But why would I want to see it? Why would I want to be in a movie I wouldn't go and see? I wouldn't see it. I mean,
Right.
it's too raunchy. It's too." So I met the guys. I met the Whites brothers, and and I said, "Well, yeah, it's kind of a raunchy thing." He said, "Well, you know, it's." But they were great. They were on first meeting them. I realized they're really, really bright, intelligent guys, and they had a great sense of humor. But they're really bright. And they said, "Well, what?" I said, "But I don't like, you know." And the other thing is, I don't like the part. I don't like the father's not. I don't think the father's kind of very kind of nudge, wink, wink. The way the thing is written, you know, he's kind of like trying to be like his son. He's trying to be a friend with his son instead of like being a dad. And I just don't like. They said, "Well, what do you want to change? We can change stuff in it." And I said, "Well, I want to change everything. I don't like anything about it." They said, "Well, let's go in. Let's say this Saturday. Let's come in. We'll bring in Jason and you, and we'll go in and we'll improvise our way through these scenes, and let's just see what happens." So we went in for a rehearsal.
How about that?
We improvised our way through the scenes, and they started to become kind of fun, right? Because I'm playing a father who's just trying to be helpful, but you know, not his intention is good. He's not trying. He's trying to be a dad, not a friend.
You changed his intent.
Change the intent on the thing, and just put some kind of funny stuff in the movies, and that's in the scenes. And so I said, okay. They said, "Well, how does it feel now?" I said, "Well, I got to be honest. It feels, you know, a lot better. It actually feels like there's some. These are kind of funny, but it's kind of legitimate, because the guy, he's trying as hard as he can to help his kid, and you know, that makes sense to me."
Right.
And so they said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." Now, ironically, at that time when I was doing this, I was already shooting a movie which was called American Pie.
I'm sorry?
The movie I was shooting was called American Pie. American Pie, at the time I went in to take the meeting, was called East Great Falls High. That was the name of that movie. And oddly enough, the American Pie movie had
Changed
to
its
end
name
up
to Westfall
had
High.
to change. It had to change their name because they, I think this movie at Universal had a bit more clout than this little indie thing that I was doing that was called American Pie.
That is
But
tremendous for trivia night.
See what I'm
that
saying?
one? Very few people are going to know that one.
Yeah,
You're going to win all
nobody's gonna know
contests
that.
with that one.
Yeah. Are you still with us? You awake? Wake up. You. Yeah, I can see you right now, all right?
You're warming up for your Larry
If you
King
don't want to
game.
watch it, change the station, okay?
Right. You kids out there.
But don't be out. I can see you. All right.
Change the station. Ah, yes. Nicely done.
Yes. I do Sullivan, did I tell you? Oh. How with it am I? I couldn't be, yes.
Here's my favorite part.
All right.
Very nervous about meeting Michael Douglas. Very nervous about the work, the drama. You can't eat, you're nauseous. On your way here today to sit with me, who you allegedly also admire, pastrami. Big, juicy, fatty,
Yeah.
belch later.
Okay, so I'll tell you why I had the pastrami.
All right, please, find
All
the
right.
truth.
All right, so I
had to beat it out of
I
you.
had to drive into the valley today, North Valley, to go to a costume place because we're doing a thing. Speaking of Tom,
Please.
Tom Hanks, called Simply Shakespeare.
Yes.
Right.
Tell us more about this.
Well, they do this every year. It helps. It's the Shakespeare. It's the
You son of a-
Shakespeare Company of Los Angeles.
Nice.
And they help underprivileged kids. They create programs for them to come in and do perform and do Shakespeare. And,
Right.
and it's a great program. But they do this reading every year, and it's a staged reading. And so this year they're doing a Western kind of slant on the Merry Wives of Windsor. Mm-hmm. So I had to go, and they wanted a semblance of a costume like a cowboy hat or something like that. So I had to go way into the North Valley, as north as you can go. I didn't know it went that far. And to get to the costume place, and I got a couple of things, and then I'm coming back, and I'm thinking,
I'm peckish.
well, it's lunch.
Yeah.
I'm a little peckish. I didn't really eat too much. Ooh.
Arts.
Arts
In the
Ventura.
valley. Yeah.
Pastrami, the best in town.
Tough to be.
So now it's there. Now they got valet.
Oh, sure.
You don't have to worry about parking. Sometimes you'll drive by at no spot. You go, you know what? Forget it.
Yeah, I'll have the Dairy Queen.
I'll go to
instead.
Jerry's.
Oh, no.
So that was that. So I had the pastrami. I said, okay, that's it. That's it for this month.
Right.
Right?
Once a month.
And what happens?
Yeah.
And there was, look at this. And then in 1973.
Let me ask you this, sir.
Yeah.
Does it feel like we've been talking for 2 hours?
First honest guess.
I've never been in an interview this long in my life. But you know what? It's pretty amazing because you're and I understand this is it. There's no editing, right? You don't go through and cut most of this out, which I would do.
No, sir.
This is
This
it.
was a conversation.
So so that's kind of interesting. It's a good thing, and it's true. Time flies
when you're
having fun. You've heard that expression,
right.
yeah. But it hasn't exactly flown right here. But it's good.
Right.
But I've almost finished my water, and there's a big cup.
Yes, it is, sir. You'll be taking that cup home with you. Don't think you won't. When can we look for the American Pie reunion with the entire original cast?
They got everybody back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a summer?
And well, it's going to be out next April.
Next April. So you haven't shot it yet.
No, we haven't even. I don't think they've written it yet.
I
No,
see.
they have written it.
It's-
We shoot in a couple of weeks.
How's my part?
I hear you're going to be thrilled.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I wasn't in the original.
No, and you know what? You should have been. And that's the one. Yeah. And I've been telling him. Believe me, I've been telling him. I said, I can't believe it. You know?
Right.
There's nobody's uncle in the. In
Yeah,
the
why is
cast?
it all-
Nobody's got an uncle.
We said all to be kids and parents. Why can't you have an uncle?
Yeah, have an uncle. You know, wacky Uncle Sam with the thing.
Come on.
Come in with a little hi. Ba ba ba. Hi. Ba 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 ba. I'm dreaming of a wife. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Right into it.
No.
I don't do impressions. Listen to you.
What?
Listen
No, come on. I couldn't. You know what? You can make a living doing impressions. I can't make a living doing impressions. No.
Well,
My impressions are not good.
can I tell you the Perry Como was kind of spot on, though? On SCTV? That was one of my all-time favorites. Lying on the
Perry Como was
floor.
good, yeah.
Lying on the floor with the microphone next to your face.
Kiss today. Goodbye.
But just flaccid. Just lying
Yeah.
motionless.
Oh yeah. Except for the finger.
Right.
Yes. That was one of those numbers. That was a good idea, and I loved one of those things that
And
was.
Floyd
You know
the
what? I
Barber.
think it's.
These were characters that existed
Yeah.
in our minds already, and you recreated them on the show. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear that I can't do them.
No. I can't. But I really can't. But I did over the years develop. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Develop the art of doing impressions, and I did quite a few.
Yes.
Pretty well over the years. Neil Sedaka, I did Neil Sedaka on the show. It was pretty amazing.
Yes, it was.
Good lookalike.
You want to see the clip?
Makeup.
Here we go.
No.
Let's roll the Neil Sedaka
Stop.
clip. I'm waiting for 2 hours. Don't have it.
No, but it's a good one.
Just had a heart attack out there.
I'm the only guy I think I know that's done Ernest Borgnine. I kind of got into it.
I'm sorry.
You know what it was?
How the hell do you do Ernest Borgnine?
Well, you know, but don't ask me to do it now.
No, I'm not, but how?
Because I'm not going to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bonus track.
You do to me what you did to him. Yeah, Borgnine and
Sure.
oh yeah, a whole slew of them. But not great. But makeup again. You know, got handed the makeup people on the show because they really swear to God, it was just you know, you could their makeup was so good. You look in the mirror and you actually you can do the voice where. Before you got into the makeup chair, if they said, you know, you're doing, you know, Ernest Borgnine, you just don't have a clue.
Right.
And then you get the makeup, and you look, and you get the angle, and then you know, and then it kind of comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first major impression I did was Howard Cosell on the show, and it was a piece called Melvin and Howard's.
Nice.
And it was, you know, that movie Melvin
Sure.
and Howard from years ago, where Melvin kind of picks up Howard Hughes.
Right.
So in this scene, Melvin picked up a lot of Howards, Curly Howard, Senator Howard Baker.
All right.
And I played Howard Cosell, and that was really the first major impression I think that I did.
Did you
and it
study any
worked out.
videotape of him, or you just kind of knew it through the...
I probably looked at some footage.
Right.
You know, of him, but I knew what his voice sounded like. But anyway, that was good. All fun stuff. All fun stuff.
Well, we haven't given you any opportunity to prepare, nor have we offered up any special makeup to help you get into the mind, body, and soul of Larry King. However, it's time to start to focus, anyways, a little bit of your thoughts on doing your version of the Larry King game, my friend, because I feel as though 2 hours may have been enough to keep you here, locked safely in this room.
Has it been 2 hours already?
Not kidding.
2 hours plus.
Wow.
7:13.
Wow.
You're late for dinner.
I'm more than late for dinner.
When I warned him beforehand, you come into the studio, Kevin.
That's what happens when you have an actual conversation, sir. Time may not
No,
fly
I get
by,
it. I get it now.
but it certainly soars by. All right.
Yeah.
This will be your camera, the same one you were scolding the kids earlier about changing the channel. The rules again, I want a bad Larry King impression. And then I want to, if you can act out that little moment where Larry, before he throws it to the phones, which he loves to do, Connecticut, hello. Before he throws it to a phone, he offers up something about himself that, quite frankly, none of us wanted to know. That's the moment, really, that we're looking for you to create here. As we call it the Larry King game. When you're ready, sir, that's your camera. Take your time, please.
All right, this is Larry King. Dentures, not all they're cracked up to be. More on that tomorrow night. Hello, Sheboygan.
Sheboygan! 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 Love that, sir.
That's not the first Sheboygan.
Did you sense that by my reaction?
Oh, I'm sure somebody's come up with Sheboygan.
I think we've had one Sheboygan.
I believe we've had.
But it
one
may
Sheboygan.
also just be that I love to scream the name. Who is the guy?
Blagojevich.
Yeah, Blagojevich. Yeah. So I always think Sheboygan, Blagojevich. I honestly and sincerely can't thank you enough because this has been a hope of mine for quite a while. We happened to run into each other one night at this band theater when our friend Martin Short and Knucklehead Jason Alexander were doing a thing to raise some money and a fine thing. And I couldn't believe you said yes then, and I was even more shocked that you showed up here today. So honestly and truly, thank you.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad I'm here. You've got 100 and how many episodes are you doing? 113?
Yeah, we're gonna be done in about
really?
three.
Yeah, three more? Oh, I'm glad I got in.
Yeah.
For it. But this is great. This is what I call an interview. This is a fun. This is where you don't feel like you have to. Everything's in a sound bite.
Right.
Although maybe the audience is kind of wishing maybe
No.
there were more sound bites.
And,
But,
and no pre-interview. We always make sure you don't have to audition your
yes,
anecdotes.
there's no pre-interview.
That's my least favorite
I hate
thing in the
those
world.
things.
Yeah, they always say, "What else you got?" You finish a big long
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
And
This
no
is what I
laugh.
want to talk about. What else?
Yeah, what else?
Yeah.
What-
Oh, geez.
And then
You know what?
Family went skiing, did they? And then what else you got?
Yeah.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank
But
you.
it was fun, really. I'm glad. I'm glad I got a chance. It's almost like chatting with
Right,
you.
we
isn't
had
it?
it without the lunch, without the
Yeah.
big smelly
Yeah,
fish.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, sit there uncomfortably for another minute, if you wouldn't mind, while I wrap things up for the folks at home. Thank you so much. Eugene Levy, everybody. Bring those paws together, ladies and Jews. Indeed, fantastic and thrilled. Every now and then we'll have a guest in here that I'm a little spagoogie about. I'm going to get a little verklempt, and this was lovely. We've had the crew working the last couple of hours outside the hollow walls of this here studio, and often at this particular moment in the show I will wonder, what the hell have they been doing? Well, without our big show business director, Mike Rotman, today, we're missing our wonderful research genius and chat jockey, Jason McIntyre. We had Rune Kincaid fill in and help out a little bit today. I want to thank him for that. But I wonder what the crew out there, Josh Negrin, Emily Goodwin, what have they been doing? As Dr. Chen and Sam and Jamie have I been sitting in here. What the hell is...
Flat all over, yes, flat all over.
Where's Emily? Hey, Ru? Do you know where Emily is?
Go when it came to that part of the song. Feeling they would use the cutlery and bang it.
Oh dear God. Oh no!
Oh, I gotta love... You gotta tip the hat to the commitment. You've got to shoot somebody a look. Oh my, that's
Wow.
commitment to the bit. Without J. Mac Wiley Coyote, Emily was left with the sight gag.
Wow.
And I tip my hat to the commitment.
Prime time ain't what it used to be.
Not just good for the movies, it's good for the internet too. I'll have the cake. Until next time, check your schedule there. We've got the Michael Chiklis coming up, Nick Offerman and John Cho, and a bunch of great shows coming up. Christopher Guest is now threatening to come on and treat us to some delightful musings of what it was like to call up a Eugene Levy one day, thinking, I hope he cares, he remembers. Until then, and as always, get out of my face.
He's all of the rainbows, but none of the rain. He's dry, but he's an alcoholic. He's hosting this train wreck again and again, and he wears a hat. He's